Hey, welcome to the How to Podcast series. It's November, and it's National Podcast Post Month. What we're doing here is we're going to do an episode a day, every day, for the month of November on the How to Podcast series. And then instead of being a bunch of Dave for 30 days in a row, how about a bunch of my best friends and podcast family from the How to Podcast series coming back, reuniting. It's like a family reunion, everyone. And over the next 30 days, you're going to hear from some of the best podcasters in the world. So excited to have them return and share their insights to 3 questions that you as a podcaster should consider. You get their combined experiences over 30 episodes to help you plan your podcast, grow your show, launch a show, continue as a podcaster. We're all here for you. And so here are some of your best friends returning again to share their insight, their wisdom. These spectacular people are here for you. I'm so proud to have them back. To hear their voices again makes me happy. So let's get going. Happy National Podcast Post Month. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Scarlett Classic. I'm the host of the Classic Advice Podcast. It's my podcast all about my advice that I want to share with you. And my mission with this podcast is to create a community that we can really be there for each other in the good times and the bad, and do life together, because I am a firm believer that life should not be gone through alone. It's way easier when we have our buddies next to us to do life together. So that is my mission with my podcast. You can find me at classicchronicles.ca. My podcast is on there. How to get a hold of me is on there. You can book free time in my calendar. We can sit and chat. You can come on as a guest, or we can just hang out. That's all good. And what else? A little bit about me is on there. So yeah, if you're interested, you can head on over there and check it out. So some of you are probably wondering, why am I here and where is Dave Campbell? Well, it is National Podcaster Post Month, November, woohoo! And Dave has sent me an email and he asked me to answer 3 questions for him, which I am so honored, and thank you, Dave, for asking me. I am so excited to hear everybody else's answers to these. I think this is just such an amazing idea that you had, that we can really learn from each other by answering all of the same questions. I think that's such a neat idea. So I'm really, really excited to be a part of this. So question number 1 is, what strategies do you recommend for identifying and engaging with your audience? That's a great question. I'm still, I'm a baby podcast. I started in March. And what's worked for me so far is having an email, giving an email out so my listeners can get a hold of me that way. It's fun to write letters, and I've reached out to a number of podcast hosts, and I have gotten a overwhelming response from most podcast hosts I have heard back from. Not everybody, and I understand that some people are busy, or maybe life is busy. But that seems to have worked. People have used that, so it is working. The other thing that I just started is I made a calendar on my website so people can scroll down and book time in my calendar. I made available the times that work for me, and then I get an email saying that someone has booked time with me, what the day, the time, and then there's a Zoom room link in the email. So I get the link, and my new friend gets a link in their email, and then on the set date and time we just click the link and we'll be in a meeting together, which is really, I put it up and it's available and someone has booked time with me, but as of today I haven't actually met them yet. I'm meeting my first one tomorrow. So that's really, really exciting. I'm really excited for that. And yeah, that's my answer. I that's the things that have worked for me so far. And yeah. Question number 2, can you describe a challenge that you faced recently in your podcasting journey and how you overcame it? This is a really great question, and I actually thought about it for a couple of days before recording my answer. And I think the main thing for me is finding the balance of being a mom, a podcaster, and I also work, and I'm a wife. And navigating the time management to balance all of those different things that are in my life, I have started to batch record. I batch record now. I didn't do it at the very beginning, but it is a game changer. So if you're thinking about having a podcast, or if you already have a podcast and you haven't tried batch recording yet, I challenge you to just give it a shot. Just try it once and see how it goes. Because for me, total game changer. I always make out some bullet point notes before I record. It just helps keep me on track, and so I don't go off on my tangents. So I'll make multiple episode notes in one night. And then another night, when I have some free time, I'll record all of those episodes. I've done up to 4 episodes in a row. Wrote out my notes, and then on a separate day, I recorded 4 episodes in a row. And it's great because I'm already got the kids quiet, or they're asleep, or like right now, they're not even at home. My dogs are... they're so tired. They're just like zonked right out. They're tired. My husband's at work. He's on nights right now. So the house it's the perfect time for me to record because I have the house to myself. I've tuckered out my dogs. It's quiet. So I'm recording a bunch right now. I'm doing this recording for Dave, and then I'm going to jump to some recordings for my show. And then editing, I can do on different days, and I'll edit all 4 episodes, typically in one sitting, or it might be spread out to multiple sittings. But then when I finally do get them uploaded, for example, on my own podcast, on Wednesdays is when I release my typical episodes where I'll have it's a longer episode that's just solo me giving my life advice to you. On Fridays, if I have the material, if I have the content with a guest, then their episodes get released on Fridays. And for my podcast challenge for the month of November is I'm taking favorite quotes of mine and reading them out to you guys, and then giving just a short little blurb from my 2 thoughts about said quote, or some background of the person that said the quote that just makes the quote just like, wow, that's so inspiring, just because of who had said it. So that's a layout of my show and my content. So if I record 4 solo episodes in a row, and then a few days later I edit and put them up to schedule them in to release, that's a whole month. So then I can take my hands off the wheel of my podcast, so to speak, and I work on other things. I work on creating merchandise, or I work on my website, or I work on something completely not podcast related. I'll go work on something else, a different hobby, or I'll spend time with the kids or the family, or play with the dogs. I'll just totally take a break from podcasting. And we all need to take a break and a step back sometimes. And it's really nice to be able to do that. So I'll dedicate like a weekend or a week, say that every night I'll dedicate a little hour, like an hour or so this week, and work on my podcast. And then I'll not have to touch it for a whole month. And it really takes the pressure off of me that not doing batch recording and only recording 1 episode at a time and I feel like I'm working more because I have to take the time more regularly as opposed to just working on it a little bit longer in longer chunks of time for just a few days, and then I can just sit back and do nothing. It's really, I think, a better way to manage my time, and that's what works for me. So that's the answer to question number 2. Question number 3, what tools or resources do you find indispensable for your podcast planning, production, or promotion? The answer to this question, I would have to say that the meetups on Saturdays that Dave Campbell puts on has absolutely been a game changer for me. Having a community that you can just get together with and share podcasting with is indispensable to me. Having somebody that really, and not just one somebody, multiple somebodies, because there's a big group of us. I've said this before in my own podcast, but having your community is so very important. Having people there for you that get you, and because my husband, nobody in my life, prior to meeting you, Dave, prior to meeting everybody in the meetup, I didn't know anyone that podcasted. Anyone. Like personally. Since I've reached out to Dave Campbell, because I emailed him first to say hello and thanks for doing the podcast and you helped me launch my show. Since then, I've started going to his meetups. I've met so many more people. And when you get stuck, or when you just feel down, or when you don't know how to do something, you can go to the meetup and ask people, and typically somebody there will have the answer. And it's awesome because you don't feel like you're doing this alone. And it's hard hiking up a mountain alone. It's so much easier when you have your buddy there to be there for you. And podcasting is no different in my mind. Having your community, having people that can help you along and make the journey easier, is a complete game changer. Complete game changer for me. I'm forever grateful for the people that I've met. And had I known that I was going to meet all these amazing people when I started a podcast, I would have started it years ago. I hope that my words to you guys today were an inspiration for you to, if you haven't even started yet, to go try, to start. If you need help, if you would like assistance, Dave Campbell is here for you. I am here for you, and a group full of people on that meetup group are here for you. The way that I end my Wednesday solo shows is I leave my listeners with a challenge of the week. So because it's November, let's call it a daily challenge. So my challenge for you today, if you haven't created an email, go create your email. Specific to your podcast, not your personal email. Create a whole different new one so that you don't have your personal stuff mixed with your podcasting stuff. So if you don't have that, my challenge, go do that. Second part of the challenge, if you haven't tried batch recording, batch record. Third part of the challenge, come join our meetup group and let these people be an inspiration to you. Let us be there for you. Let's do life together, because it is just so much better to be in the boat together instead of paddling alone. And before I go, thank you, Dave, for having me on your show. And to all you lovely listeners, have a lovely, lovely day. Bye.
Thank you for being part of the How to Podcast series. Thank you for being here all the way through to the end. And it's November, and I'm so excited to be celebrating November with you. And as we grow our podcast together in community, one at a time, one episode at a time, one listener at a time, you're going to see great things ahead for you as we close off 2024 and focus on the new year ahead. Great things ahead for you and your podcast. Thank you for being here. Check us out at howtopodcast.ca. Take care.